Hi everyone, my name is Laura Cajun and I'm currently a student at Bloomsburg University studying interpersonal communications with a minor in health communication. And today I would like to take the time to discuss with you all the impacts of economic globalization on local agriculture and factory farming. I chose this topic because of how passionate I feel about supporting our local farmers and practicing sustainable agriculture. Although economic globalization has had many benefits, we can't simply ignore the negative impacts it has also brought. And this negative impact may start in each community, but it has become a global fight. So what is it? It is the intercontinental exchange of products, services, and labor, economic integration and interdependence of national, regional, and local economies across the world. And we see this cycle whereas trade grows, competition will also, and it'll result in lower prices, which will ultimately result in the downfall of companies that cannot effectively compete in this global market today, which in this case is farmers. And it's hurting small-scale farmers. As the U.S. economy continues to prosper, rural America has been suffering. The growth of the nation has been at the expense of the farmers who have been working hard to produce the goods, yet never see the yields of their labor. The current farm income crisis has been highly concerning during such economic prosperity and stability. These domestic policies have been supporting international deals that are only in the interest of large-scale corporate agribusinesses and not the farmers. The economic health of farmers has not been considered, nor the health of the people or the local communities. Globalization decreases our prices by removing an effective commodity loan rate or reserve, which might sound beneficial, but what we don't always understand is that these policies and prices end up creating unsustainable situations for farmers worldwide, and they end up suffering. Traditional farmers favor quality over quantity, and now we have switched to factory farming, which is quantity at a low price because it's considered economically better, but it lacks what traditional farming had, which was ethics for how animals were raised and what we're consuming. So the definition of factory farming is it's just basically the large-scale industrialized farming where large numbers of livestock are produced and raised indoors in controlled conditions that maximize production at a minimal cost. They focus on profit. That is key. And it results in negative impacts such as horrific conditions for animals, the environment, and the health of the people. Large-scale corporations such as Purdue have been pushing family-owned farms out of business and into bankruptcy. Sustainable farms are just disappearing, and bigger is not always better. Agribusinesses are comparable to monopolies. So this is when they control what consumers can purchase to eat, what will end up paying for those groceries, and the prices that farmers receive for their livestock. So now I will discuss three main negative impacts it has, the first being environmental. So in the US, animals raised on factory farms produce more than 1 million tons of waste per day. And this is just staggering. It's 3 times the amount of human population produced waste. Now the manure will be deposited into open air lagoons, which spills into bodies of water, which will result in harm of the aquatic life and the quality of the water. So instead of paying to have this waste transported, it's often just spread onto fields in over excess amounts and contaminates the drinking water as well as emits dangerous gases into the atmosphere, contributing to climate change. And one of these toxic greenhouse gases is methane, which I'm sure you've all heard of. And this is when certain livestock, they emit it during digestion. Another main factor is transportation of livestock and vehicles because this is going to pollute our air. And another one is deforestation due to demands for more pasture space. The second one is animal cruelty, and this is animals are just kept in these confined spaces and these factory farms so tight that they're unable to move for the span of time until they end up killed. Chickens are often debeaked and pigs endure tail docking so fights don't break out. The chicken debeaking process is horrible and they never receive any pain medicine to help with this. Many chickens end up dying from starvation after this painful process because they just don't want to eat. Eggs laying hens are kept in battery cages where there's automated feeding, so no human contact's required. So what happens here is many are going to end up dying because they'll fall and they'll get their limbs stuck and there's no human to help put them back. So they'll just end up laying there and die from lack of water and food. Breeding sows spend their lives in a confined gestation crate of steel bars where she will end up never probably moving until she's slaughtered. And she also will just have to lay in the waste of her babies. So the third negative impact is the detrimental effects it causes to public health. So many of us turn a blind eye to where our food comes from, how it's processed, but we don't always understand and realize is that animals eat or are injected with hormones and chemicals that enable faster growth because it will end up yielding more production. Yet we are also digesting these toxic hormones now once we eat them. When animals are kept so closely confined, disease can easily spread, and the diseases can be transmitted to humans when we consume the meat, the milk, and the eggs. Since fights can break out, the cuts on animals are treated with antibiotics. Antibiotics can cause weight gain, which can result in overmedication, which can result in bacteria becoming resistant to the antibiotics. And this often results in consumers having a higher chance of getting food poisoning. It's a very vicious cycle. So what are some solutions? We could change the way globalization affects family farms by instilling international antitrust laws, international organizing of all farmers, and the international food security reserves, as well as international supply management. We could also invent a new method of sales, distribution, and trade. Farmers should be able to control their own production instead of making deals with multinational corporations that provide expensive inputs and then exploit farmers out of their labor and production. Family farmers in each country should still have the first right to serve their own food security needs before this food is transported thousands, millions of miles before it's even consumed. More than 65% of consumers in the United States say they want their food produced by family farmers, not industrial agriculture. So why are we not doing that? Here's some solutions you can do. Buy local produce and goods. I cannot stress this enough. This supports your local farmers and community, and it unites neighbors and builds relationships. And it's also often cheaper than grocery stores and is much better for you. As a Bloomsburg local, I know of many wonderful little markets and businesses that I buy my produce and meat from, such as Klinger's Produce, where I buy brown eggs and apples and their free-range chickens. At River Hill Meats, I don't have to worry about how my meat was treated, and I feel better about where it came from and my own health. So I hope this gives you a new perspective on how economic globalization is hurting small-scale farmers. And here are my references. Thank you for taking the time to listen.